Hey everybody, and thank you for joining us. So today we're going to show you how remote-free Intune Clarity helps you and your IT teams work smarter, faster, and more securely. So I'm James Graham, Chief Product Officer here at Remo3, and hailing from the Great White North, where the maple syrup flows and the dashboards are always clean, is my esteemed colleague, Josh Travers, who's our VP of Customer Solutions. And I'm thrilled to introduce you to Clarity, our modern Intune-focused reporting platform. So I'm just going to kick us off with a quick intro and some level setting before I pass over to Josh, who's going to give a nice in-depth demo of the platform and give you a good overview of what it is and what it provides. So essentially, Clarity is a unified reporting and analytics solution that we built for Microsoft Intune environments. So it integrates with Microsoft Graph, Intune, and some third-party data to give you real-time visibility into devices, applications, compliance, lifecycle management, and all of this without really needing any Power BI expertise. But what are the problems that we're solving with this? So many modern IT teams face a growing set of challenges that impact things like efficiency, security, and visibility. And we have things like fragmented data sources. So insights can be scattered across Intune. There could be existing Power BI reports or some other tooling or some other tables floating around, but they're normally all in different places. And even pulling reports out of Intune is hard, right? They're not in one single place. And sometimes it's hard to find them, and sometimes they're missing compelling and clear visualizations. There's also a dependency, therefore, on skilled resources. So Power BI reporting takes time, it requires licensing, and of course, expertise to build the views that you require and interact with the data tables behind the scenes. In addition, there is a lack of update readiness visibility. So Windows updates in environments can cause disruption when you don't have that clear insight. And then, of course, we have things like operational efficiencies or inefficiencies. So manual data gathering and reporting can slow down IT teams. And also, we have a lot of new technology on the market and coming into organizations as well, things like Windows 365. And therefore, organizations have limited visibility into Windows 365. Organizations lack tools to plan, monitor, and more importantly, optimize these environments as well. And finally, security posture is important. Nobody wants a weak security posture. And really, without real-time visibility into things like vulnerabilities or compliance gaps, organizations are really exposed to these risks. So Clarity is designed to solve these challenges with a modern, intuitive platform with unified data integration. So providing this real-time view from Microsoft Graph, Intune, and our other sources that we tap into to provide these clear visualizations. We also wanted to provide ease of use. So provide you with clear, usable, pre-built dashboards across various key scenarios that you face, but also give you the capability to customize reports or build your own dashboards or take the visualizations and dashboards that we've created and create your own dashboards with those, or edit them or tweak them to your own parts. Or even if you have the skills, tap into the data source yourselves and build your own visualizations to tell the stories that you want your data to tell, depending on the role, the scenario, the need, the requirement. Also, we want to ensure that you have a heightened security posture. So therefore, we want to provide real-time vulnerability, CVE detection, and compliance reporting, help you really understand at the touch of a button what devices are out of compliance or where you have vulnerable apps installed on devices in your environment. And also update readiness visibility. Know which devices are ready for Windows v Next. So we have annual feature releases from Windows, but also you have monthly cumulative updates. Have insights into how you're tracking against staying up to date with Windows updates. And finally, those Windows 365 insights, visibility into usage, into performance, into user experience, and help with you with your readiness for better planning and, of course, optimization to ensure your users are on the right SKU for their needs and their experience. And all that comes down to is automation and cost saving. So being able to automate device lifecycle tracking and compliance checks and application usage and application installation failures, all of these great things that the platform provides. And so that's really around some of the things that Clarity addresses and the challenges and how Clarity addresses those challenges. But right now I'm going to hand it over to Josh, and Josh is going to walk you through a live demo of Intune Clarity in action, showing you how these capabilities come to life in real environments. So over to you, my friends.
Great. Well, thank you, James, and thank you in advance to everyone that joined this afternoon. A quick audio-visual check. I just shared my screen, assuming that you can see it. And we'll go ahead and jump in with a live demonstration of Clarity. As James was mentioning, the theme of this solution is all around data visualization, specifically into your Intune tenant. And what we've done is we've essentially aggregated the Entra and Intune data. And as James had mentioned, we removed the complexity of navigating through the Graph API to pull the data that you require for your operational tracking and overall reporting strategies. What we've also done is we've removed the dependency on any third-party reporting tools in order to make sense of all of that data that the API is retrieving. And those are the Power BIs or the Tableaus of the world. So it provides an out-of-the-box experience. And how we've approached this out-of-the-box experience, and we'll get through this and explore, is we've created effectively categories. And how we created these categories is we took a step back and spent a lot of time working with the Microsoft MVP community. We spent a lot of time interviewing, collecting data from our strategic customers and partner ecosystems, and ultimately wanted to determine what they wanted to see. And the scale of what we'll call Intune maturity was very wide, where we were collecting data points from a maturity level of 0 all the way up to the end of the scale. We'll call it a 10. And what we've determined are these out-of-the-box categories of dashboards. Now, once we've logged in, it's full Entra SSO enabled, it'll bring you to a home dashboard. And that's what you're seeing here, which is a collection of all of those different categories. As we know, Intune is very powerful in terms of its capabilities. And with Intune Clarity, what we're doing is we're visualizing all that data to allow our customers to harness that power. And if we start to explore some of the different categories, I will note that everything that I'll be showing is provided out of the box day one. But again, as James had mentioned, we do provide a custom dashboarding workspace where we allow our users to go in, again, removing all of the complexity, adding simplicity, to go and either do one of two things. One is build their own dashboards from scratch. That implies some semblance of the Intune data model, but it's drag and drop WYSIWYG type experience to build the dashboards and visualization reporting that you require. The second is the ability to take any of the industry best practice dashboards, make a copy, and then fine tune that as your maturity level may grow or your requirements may change. But where I'd like to start off on the journey is really around those devices that are enrolled within Intune. As I mentioned, where I'd like to start is really on the device perspective and those devices that are enrolled in the Intune tenants. And as you can see here, the theme of the dashboards are really to start at a high level and then allow you to drill down to the lowest level possible to get the data that you retrieve. So whether it's the device breakdown in terms of landscape, what types of devices those are within the environment, their activity status. So understanding not only the devices, but which ones are active and inactive in the devices. And then ultimately to drill down right to the lowest level, which would be the device inventory data that may be needed within the help desk or for some analysis to look through. So within these devices, what we can do is we can start to easily access all of the information, and not just for the physical devices either. So for those of you that have joined today that are managing virtual devices, specifically Cloud PC, through your Intune tenant today, the out of the dashboard, out of the box dashboards, that provides both, again, in the physical world as well as the virtual world, to give you that either 10,000 foot view or that 1 foot view of the information that you're collecting with Intune. So once we've understood and we're now tracking the bits and data on those actual devices, both physical and virtual, now let's take a look on how we can maintain and track the operating system, and specifically how we're approaching and our operational workflows around updating that operating system. So to complement the lowest level of the inventory data to the types of the devices, the manufacturers, et cetera, we provide Windows Update insights as well. And I mentioned the aggregation of the data. We're also staging this data. And what that will allow you to do then is trend that data over time. So for example, if I would like to look at my update deployment trend, I can filter through this widget and effectively pull any slice of time to understand trend analysis. Whether it's negative impact or positive impact, it doesn't really matter, for a lack of a better term. What matters is you now have the capabilities and the visibility to do that with a couple clicks of the mouse. And whether that's to look at positive impact, where we're most up to date, and then of course on the flip side, the negative impact, where we're out of date, in turn out of compliance, and allow you to drill down again to understand why, and then be as proactive as possible to prevent something of a breach of compliance not happening again, or just ensuring that your posture is secure and you are on the latest updates that you possibly can be. Many different ways to visualize the information as well, whether that's from the device standpoint as well, any issues, and again, drilling down to understand, right, all of those different moving parts. I know we went into an updates dashboard, but from here, it's all linked. So I can get down to the low level of the device, the user, anything that I'm collecting from that particular device to understand and correlate that back to the update cadence and the update trends over time. And it's not just for the updates, but also for feature updates as well, where we can have that drill down analysis, start to understand, correlate that with devices in our environment that aren't able to upgrade. Again, we have that device data, we have physical virtual data to support all of that, and then really start to understand the operating system life cycles as well. Anything that's nearing end of support, all about being proactive. I can get ahead of it. I can go in and start to remediate that as much as possible, going down into levels of past upgrades as well. So again, building from the devices, moving into the operating systems, and then providing that data visualization for the updating of the operating system. The next natural step is, well, what about the applications that are deployed on those devices? And for those of you that are familiar with Remo 3 and the solutions that we do provide an automation, very robust automation engine that does all of the heavy lift to help you get your applications at scale into Intune. And the focus dashboard that I'm showing here is really that handoff between the life before Intune and now once the applications are under management within Intune. So here what I can see is, exactly what is being deployed out into the environment, where it's being deployed, and is it being deployed successfully? Going a step above the app compat that we're performing in the migration or the new introduction of an application, and get down to root cause analysis to really understand if there are any negative impacts or issues within the environment. And then, of course, just the general landscape of all applications, commonly installed applications, to help you tag those within Intune, prioritize those applications, assign them to different groups, et cetera, and really just very quickly wrapping your arms around your application landscape. In addition to the general awareness of the applications and their deployment results within your Intune tenant, the Clarity Dashboard Analytics Suite also provides common vulnerabilities, or CVEs, for the applications you have under management. And this specific functionality, what it does is it leverages NIST as the authoritative source, meaning Remo 3 does not want to be the authoritative source when it comes to telling you what apps have vulnerabilities. There's a lot of good solutions out there. We partner with NIST to pull that information in, and then we correlate that information against the applications that are under that specific Intune's tenant for management, to provide quick visibility and risk mitigation in terms of what needs to be removed from the environment, what needs to be investigated, and what needs to be patched, so on and so forth. So from this particular example here, you can clearly see I can now start, within the matter of minutes, I can now start to understand what, the total exposure is within my environment, start to break down those vulnerabilities into different categories so I can prioritize the patching cycles and remediation plans, etc. And then understand all of the applications within the entire environment that have the vulnerabilities associated to them. What it will also do is it will link towards the security advisory reports as well. So again, the Clarity solution is identifying the vulnerability exists, it's correlating it to the application, and then linking you to give more supplementary information around that specific vulnerability, so you can get a solid understanding of that. Aside from that, the trend analysis as well, because of the staging of the data, is available. So any slice of time, you can start to rewind and understand the peaks and valleys in terms of the vulnerability exposures. The next item that I'm going to navigate over to is, now that we've talked about the device visibility, the operating systems, and the update cadence capability, the applications in general, the application vulnerability exposures, the next area that I'm going to gravitate to is towards now really just compliance and tracking that compliance. And it's very interesting because I work with a lot of customers and partners, and compliance can mean, a bunch of different things to a bunch of different people. But ultimately, what Clarity is bringing is it's bringing that data visualization so you can get as operationally efficient as you possibly can. Similar to the application vulnerability support, Remo 3 is not the authoritative source in terms of what policies that you should be deploying and enforcing, because again, it does differ from environment, industry, etc. But what it will do is it'll allow you to track that those policies are being enforced and they are in compliance. Very similar to the UX that we were showing through all of the other dashboards. It's all about the ability to start high and then drill low. So whether that's device policies, that is your area of interest, environmental policies, configuration policies from those that have moved from the traditional GPO world into the cloud native world, all of that information is there, and it's there to be tracked and reported on from that high level to low level. So there's a couple different ways that we can approach. One is in terms of the auditing perspective. I know we work with a lot of customers around preparing for the SOC 2s and the ISO audits of the world. And there's a lot of extremely valuable data within the Intune tenant that needs to be retrieved. These are the samples of the out-of-the-box dashboards here. Or if it's something specific in terms of the internal security posture, to start to understand what those trends are, what your specific or maybe unique policies are within your environment, you can then use this solution to start to track there as well. Additionally, for those that are joining in from the UK, where we see a large demand for this, is again an out-of-the-box readiness dashboard for something like a Cyber Essential certificate. However, the individual components that make up the Cyber Essential certification, they can be very valuable and stripped out of the out-of-box dashboard and fit for purpose for additional scenarios. Whether that's making sure, you have in-depth Entra reporting, what those Entras are, is the, MFA required within there, correlating that back to the application inventory. And then of course, are those applications up to date? Of course, those again that are familiar with the entire Remo 3 solution, for those applications that are out of date or those applications that possibly came up on a vulnerability exposure report, there is a tie back to the automation engine where Remo 3 can automatically patch these via the Remo 3 patch catalog solution. I just want to do a quick time check. James Graham, maybe pause for a moment, open it up if there's any
You got
questions or comments.
no, you got another 5 minutes, Josh, before we move over to questions. So if there's anything you want to drill into, my friends, we've got a few more minutes.
Okay, great. Well, what I'll do is I'll circle back then to the home dashboard and just review some of the items that we covered today, right? So item number one was the ease of use. It typically takes customers less than a handful of hours to fully get up and running with this solution. It is SaaS-based. It's fully integrated via SSO. So ultimately, right, the deployment is straightforward. You're up and running within a handful of hours. And that's to collect and actually visualize data after that. Point number two was the simplicity and the elimination of any complexity, meaning the out-of-the-box Graph API calls that feed in to a data visualization engine that removes any dependency on third-party components. And then lastly was the strategically thought out-of-the-box dashboards and the category structure around those to help, again, you either from day one go from a 0 to a 1, or those of you that have been leveraging Intune for quite some time, give you the foundations to then, keep maintaining your high maturity level and getting the data that you would need. So I'll go ahead and stop there. That's what I had on the demonstration agenda for today.
Okay, let me just reshare the slides, my friends. Okay, so awesome. So thank you very much, Josh, for that great walkthrough. So we've got a few questions that have come in, but feel free to throw in some more questions if you've got them. We're just going to take the next few minutes to answer as many as we can. But if you don't get to your question, we'll certainly reach out afterwards to make sure that we are able to answer that. So I'll start with okay, this is a nice one. So Josh, how is Clarity different from, let's say, us using Power BI with the Intune data?
That's a great question. I think ultimately it goes back to the out of the box day one experience, right? Technically, once you stitch all of the dependencies and the components apart, if you are using the Graph API, piping that out into Power BI, there's a skill set, there's time that it takes, and I'll give a good example of this. Is generally the stakeholder within the organization that requires a certain report about a certain item and data is stored within the Intune tenant, rather, they may not necessarily, or it's not very common that they would have access into that Intune tenant nor the Graph API, or even know how to leverage or construct that API to pull it out. And that's very similar on the third party, such as Power BI, the reporting engine, is that it takes a certain skill set as well. So generally what happens is the stakeholder requesting the type of report now has to interface with a business analyst to scope out, structure the report. The BA has to then go off and build the report. And then there's some sort of a Q&A session back and forth that hit the mark. I think the fundamental difference with Remo 3 Intune Clarity is all of that is, again, out of the box and streamlined on day one.
Yeah, that's great, Josh. Yeah, because I think like Power BI, whilst it's a powerful tool, it does, like from my own experience, requires time. There's also the licenses and those specialized skills to build and maintain those reports. And yeah, like that's really like we built Clarity to eliminate that overhead by, as Josh said, sort of put it eloquently, provide those sort of out of box and customizable dashboards that are purpose built for your Intune environments, and really therefore you don't need that additional Power BI skill set to create them. I think that's one of the most powerful features of it.
The licensing environment is an equally as important point as well, specifically in the larger organizations. That's when it becomes a that's when it has impact. So thanks for including that.
Yeah, it's a good one. Oh, this one comes up all the time. So we saw that we're able. You showed the one tenant there, but we're a partner. And so is it multi-tenant friendly for like partner scenarios or partners that manage multiple customer environments?
Great question. So it is in terms of the multi-tenancy and the access of the single interface. And partners or any user that has been invited and authenticated against Entra ID, they have the ability then to toggle between the different, we'll call them different workspaces that make up those series of analytics and dashboards.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, you can connect as many customer tenants as you like, and essentially how it works is the customer invites you to be able to view their data. So security is super important with Clarity, as this is quite sensitive data. So therefore, it's always it's set up in the customer. We're connected to the customer environment, and then they get to choose. They have the controls around role-based access control. So therefore, they can invite you as a partner to view their data, and then as a user of Clarity, you just have a drop down box at the top, and you can flip between your customers' environments. Okay, I got a few more coming in. Let's see how much time we got. A few minutes left. So what kind of data sources does Clarity integrate with? Do you want to kick that one off, Josh? I'm happy to support on that one as well.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you go ahead and then I'll jump in, but I think that's more suited for yourself, James.
Okay. So we had the Microsoft Graph data that Josh showed throughout the dashboards. We also, in addition to Microsoft Graph, we have Windows Update for Business insights. So that's pulling directly from log analytics, where all of your endpoints are reporting or providing update insights into. So that's things like, for example, if you've got a feature update policy deployed in your environment, and therefore like there's an upcoming Windows 11 feature update, let's say 24H2 that you're looking to deploy, or even 25H2 in the near future, how Windows Update for Business works, which I'm sure many of you know. That service is basically looking at the host's requirements, so things like TPM chip, CPU chipset, all of those things that meeting those Windows 11 requirements, and then it sends that data up into log analytics, or sends it into the Microsoft Cloud, and they process it, and then that gets pushed to your tenant, and that provides with those Windows Update for Business insights. So we're able to consume that data and therefore provide you with detailed planning information to help with your Windows 11 rollouts, to help you understand if you have hardware readiness in your environment for future Windows 11 updates. And that can help with a 10 to 11 move, or keeping current with Windows 11. And the best thing about Remo 3 is that we can combine that data with our application compatibility data, where we're able to automate the validation of your apps against future versions of Windows. So therefore, you're able to combine both device readiness and application readiness to support your Windows 11 migration. In addition, we have warranty information from Lenovo and Dell. And then we also, as Josh said, we have NIST API integration as well. So therefore, we're consuming NIST CVE data to compare your apps against those CVE vulnerabilities. Oh, that was a long answer to a question. Okay, it's at the end of time. I think one more. What's included in the Autopilot insights? Somebody is asking. Do you have that in front of you, Josh, to reel those off what we show on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the, and I believe it was Tobias that asked that, and we can certainly follow back up and do a deep dive. And in fact, to anyone that joined today and really drill into the solution, but ultimately the Autopilot insights, it's really around average time to deployment. That again, you pick your slice of time and then trend that over a series of times. Any unassigned devices that are out within the environment, start to track group tagging, the most heavily used profiles over your slice of time: enrollment success, deployments per day, Intune enrollments, profile settings, to name a few. And those are just the out of the box. Again, there's a wealth of information that through those data sources that James was just mentioning, that we can retrieve any type of custom attributes from as well.
Okay, awesome. So I know, yeah, Tobias is interested in seeing those autopilot tabs. So so we're only able to show you a few things today as we are short on time. However, we've got these webinars running now on for the next 2 weeks as well. So look out as we drill into more detail over the next 2 webinars as well. So give you those additional insights and additional detail you need. In the meantime, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen, which takes you to a form to access the 30-day trial of Intune Clarity, and look out for some follow-up comms off the back of this webinar. I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for your fantastic questions, and thank you to my fellow co-host, Josh.
Likewise. Thanks, everyone.